So today I wanted to address a question I got back when I did the Q&A a couple of weeks ago. I'll link that below in case you missed it. It was a question that was way bigger than a Q&A, and I thought it deserved its own video. So here is the question. What is it about Mexico City that people fall in love with? For me, after over a month here, it's a rather identityless, big, noisy megacity. What am I missing? When I first read that, it broke my heart a little bit. Because, yes, Mexico City is a huge city. And if you don't like big cities, it's not for you. But never in the 3.5 years that I've lived here have I ever thought that it's identityless. I think totally the opposite is the reason that I love this city so much. It has such soul. It has character for me. It has its own identity, unlike any other city that I've ever lived in or been to, really. So yeah, I wanted to address this. I really want to talk about it in the comments and hear what you guys have to say. I know a lot of you have either been here or are planning trips here, and I'd love to know what you think about Mexico City, so definitely let me know in the comments your thoughts about Mexico City. But I thought I would go through a few of the things that I love about Mexico City, about living here, about why I think, or what I think makes this city different to other places in Mexico, different to other major cities in the world. Yeah. So a big one for me, as many of you know, is the food. The food in Mexico City it's amazing. You have food from every part of Mexico here. The ability to have a Oaxacan style breakfast and a norteña style lunch and pastor tacos late night, to be able to sample drinks that come from different parts of the country, beers that come from different parts of the country. Just, it has everything when it comes to Mexican food culture. And I know a lot of Mexicans also don't like Mexico City and probably would disagree that the best barbacoa isn't in Mexico City and the best birria or the best cabrito is not here. And I'm sure that's probably true, that the places that these foods come from are the places that you should have them. However, for me, the ability to sort of travel in a day around Mexico, in Mexico City, and be able to eat all these amazing foods is a huge part of why I love living in this city. There are high-end restaurants, there's amazing street food, there are great fondas, there's comida corrida, there's so many options when it comes to food in this city that even at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can find a really good taco stand or a really great cafe serving chilaquiles for breakfast, even though it's still dark outside. Yeah, the food for me in this city is just a huge highlight. I look forward every weekend to trying a new place to eat. The fact that there is such an abundance of places to eat, places to choose from, is, yeah, a huge part of why I love this city. A fact that I love whipping out about Mexico City is that it is second only to Paris for cities in the world with the most museums. Mexico City has an insane amount of museums, and I just love it. I love that there are still probably 50, 60 museums in the city that I've never been to, some that I still haven't heard of. I love checking out different museums, especially during the wet season, kind of July to October. On the weekends, it's so nice to find a cool place to keep dry and learn more about the culture of Mexico, the history of Mexico, whether it's Mexico City or a larger fraction of the country. There are art museums, there are galleries, there are museums for perfume, and there are museums for the city of Mexico, and there are museums for sculptures, and there are just an insane amount of museums, a dozen museums for Frida and Diego. It's endless, and it's so exciting to kind of discover these new places every weekend. And for me, it's a huge part of why I love living here, because I love being able to check out so many different museums and sort of have a nice cultural day out on the weekends. The history of Mexico City is something that I am super passionate about and that I find so interesting. There's such a deep history here. All you have to do is head 45 minutes north of Teotihuacan to figure out that people have been living in this region of the country for thousands of years, and it's so fascinating. Things are still being uncovered in Mexico City. The city itself was the original Aztec capital, which is amazing. I mean, right next to the cathedral is a Templo Mayor where you can walk amid one of the temples that the Aztecs used to use. If that's not amazing, then I don't know what is. The Anthropology Museum is incredible. It's packed with history from around the country, and it's particularly from this region of the country. Taking a boat through the Chinampas and Xochimilco, not just on the trajineras where the party boats are, but really heading deeper into the canals and learning about how the Aztecs lived here and the farming that's still happening here, and seeing the little axolotl, the little salamanders. It's incredible. The history here from Chapultepec Castle, from the cathedral and the National Palace. The National Palace has been home to the seat of government in Mexico since the Aztecs, and it's continued to be, and now it still is, the home of the government here in Mexico. It's so fascinating. I uncover new things about the history. You can go under into the crypts of the cathedral and see more history down there, and yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons that I love taking tours here in Mexico. When I went up to Teotihuacan a couple of weeks ago and learning more about the Temazcal histories and the experiences here, like I'm not articulating it as well as I would like to, but there's just so much history to be discovered here in the city, and it's something that I find so cool about living here that I've never experienced living in other cities like Sydney or Seoul in Korea or New York. It's just so much richer here. Another thing that I really love about living here is that there's basically like a dozen different cities in Mexico City. Every colonia, every neighborhood has like its own character, its own history, its own architecture, its own, you know, personality, and I really love that. I love being able to go to the Centro Histórico and be steeped in the history and be enjoying really great food and learning about the past of the city, and then heading to Condesa and having like a really chic like brunch, or walking around Parque Mexico, and then maybe heading into Roma and enjoying the old mansions there and experiencing cool restaurants and really great bars, and then heading to Polanco and learning more about the immigrant history there and enjoying really upscale things, and then heading to Navarte or Del Valle or Santa Maria la Ribera, and you just have like all these different experiences and all these different neighborhoods, and I think that's so cool. I think the thing that I can't overlook as an American living here who earns in US dollars as a freelancer, I think it's important to touch on the point that one of the reasons that I love living in Mexico City is because the cost of living is so much lower than living in New York, than living in London, than living in Korea, definitely than living in Sydney. You know, and these are just a handful of the places that I've lived. I'm sure coming from places like LA or coming from big cities in Canada where it's crazy expensive, Mexico City allows a lot of people to come and live in the way that I do, and work remotely and have a really good quality of life. I can live here in Mexico City earning, you know, a fraction of what I was earning in larger, more expensive cities, and live 10 times better than I was living in those cities. I go out to eat 2 or 3 times a week. I don't look at the price of things when I go to the grocery store. I can go shopping for clothes or shoes. It's not just the material things. It's the fact that I can surround myself with these plants and not really have to stress about money. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people in Mexico. Before people start hate commenting, like, Mexico City is not cheap for Mexicans. Mexico City is quite an expensive place to live. It's one of the more expensive places in the country, and that's a fact for sure. However, there's no denying that one of the beauties of living here as as someone earning US dollars is that the cost of living is incredibly low, and I'm able to live very well here without the stress that I was having when I was living in other cities around the world. So yeah, these are just a few of the reasons that I love Mexico City. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments. Like I said, let me know what makes Mexico City the best city in your opinion. What's the hype in your opinion? I'd love to know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye.